going live. It usually is. Okay, so we are live now. Hello, everyone.
Digital agencies. Listen up. Duda
You
introduces
hear that?
the power of website building, AI and SEO combined.
There we go. It usually is. Okay, so we are live now. Oh, it's playing my. There we go. I have so many tabs open with my YouTube channel up. So it's basically showing like the pre-ad. And I'm like, that's my voice I hear. What is that? Oh, we'll give it a minute and let people come on. I know 6 o'clock is the normal call time to get started, but if you've been with us for the past couple of weeks, if you remember week 2, stuff didn't work out, and now I feel like I have it down and ready to go, but I will always start a little bit earlier just to shoot things. But technology is sometimes it's
Can't
great until it's
can't
not
live with
great.
it, can't live without it, right?
Right, right. Until you need it to work and you forget one essential thing to link your Zoom to the live, but now I figured it out. So it's 6 o'clock, so I'm gonna get started because y'all know me. Y'all have lives, I have lives. You know, it's the end of the night, getting things together for yourselves, getting yourself ready for bed, hopefully, if you're watching this. But welcome to week 4 of the Cultivate Joy Speaker Series. And just to give a quick little recap, the first week we talked about finding joy with our family and our relationships. The second week we talked about finding joy in our finances. Last week we talked about finding joy in our passions, our freedom to do the things that excite us, the things that bring us joy and that we're interested in. And tonight, we will be talking about finding joy and the importance around our fitness. And we are breaking out fitness into 2 separate components. The first component tonight is on physical fitness, and then the second component next week will be on our mental health. And then we will talk about friendships, week number 6, and then we will round it out on faith. We will talk about finding joy in our faith. And if you do not know, this Cultivate Joy series is during this time of the Lenten season, really time of reflection and kind of and thinking through the areas of your life that you kind of want to work through leading up to Easter. And so there are those 6 areas that we are taking apart. And so tonight, I am so excited that I have my friend. I say this every week because everyone is literally my friend and someone that I hold truly dear to my heart. Tonight we have Deanna here with us to talk about our physical fitness. And like always, I'm going to read Deanna's bio just to give a little bit of snapshot. Deanna and I met in 2019, which seems like yesterday, but also not like yesterday. We joined our amazing sorority together, and Deanna was actually one of the first people that I remember like sitting down and talking to as we were like, going through all the things. And so it's just, and hearing Deanna's story and, connecting in different ways throughout just our friendship. Deanna was the perfect person to talk about this topic because not only has Deanna lived it, if you saw Deanna's fun fact, but has taken something that she's lived and experienced in her own testimony and created something that's pretty amazing that she's doing. So Deanna, affectionately known as Dee, is a certified group fitness instructor, personal trainer, and health and wellness coach. Deanna currently oversees the fitness and wellness department at a higher education institution. Deanna built a career in university administration at various institutions while discovering her unwavering passion for fitness and wellness along the way. As a fitness enthusiast, Deanna is committed to making fitness enjoyable, accessible, and sustainable. Beyond her professional pursuits, Deanna enjoys traveling, outdoor exploration, and quality time with loved ones. So it is my honor to bring to y'all Deanna.
What an introduction. I just have to say thank you so much. And
Yes.
before I get started, I have to, give you your flowers and give you kudos for this idea, for making this come to fruition. I think it's awesome and it's so timely,
Thank you.
right?
Thank you.
And so I just wanted to start there.
Thank you.
So I think before we jump in, there are definitely going to be questions that I might ask of you. And I, really want to make this a bit more interactive for sure, especially for the listeners too, whether they're listening in right now or if they, will listen in a little later. But the first question that I want to jump into, right, is asking you when you think of joy, right? Like, what are some of the words that come to mind when you think of joy? And so I'll just start for me. The first word that comes to mind is just happiness, right?
That's what
Like,
my word was going to be. That was
oh,
it.
okay, okay, right. So we both agree happiness, right? And when we think about when joy or happiness is at the forefront of our lives, imagine the choices that we can make when we are in a happy place, right?
Mm.
And so I want to start there. I want to be really intentional to get us to start in a happy moment. So I want you to think about a time when you were your happiest. And this,
Mm.
you don't have to tell me that out loud, right? But I just want you to sit and think, recall a time when you were at your happiest moment. What did it look like? What did it feel like? What were you doing? Who was around you? Or were you by yourself? Right. So let's kind of just think about that and start there.
Yeah. So a lot of things I come to mind. I think about my two sons. They're both miracle babies, going through well, you might not know this, but going through infertility and having both of them be miracles. But lately, the one thing that when I think of like the most, I don't want to say most, but a happy moment that I can like put myself right back into that moment is going to the Justin Timberlake concert with my sister for his the 2020 his like 2020 album
Experience.
experience album.
Hmm.
And we literally talk about it probably every month. My sister and I were really close. I was listening to Justin Timberlake the album, and one of the songs came up from us at the concert, and like tears started rolling down my eyes because I could put myself in that moment of just you know all the words, you thought about what the concert would be like, and just like a euphoric moment where it's just being with my sister and just singing all of the songs, like to the point where people were looking at us like, how do they know every word to this song? And that concert will just always be a moment of just pure joy and happiness because there were so many components that brought those things to life for us. Yeah.
I love that. And for one, I will say I've seen him in concert. So Justin Timberlake is a great artist to watch perform. I'll say that. And if I had to maybe share a moment where I thought that I was just in the highest of high and one of the joyous moments, I'm actually going to take it back to when I was a cheerleader in high school. And the reason why I'm going to take it back there is because I remember being a part of a team, right? Like feeling like we are, being a part of a team. We're stunting, we're shouting, we are we're so happy about
Yep.
supporting our colleagues, our classmates,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're rooting for the basketball team, we're rooting for the football team. And I remember those were some of my most fun moments because it was a time to work together as a team. It was a time I got to shine, show, some of my athletic skills. And it really helped me realize that I was a part of something larger, right? So that was one of a really fun time that I experienced starting out in fitness, right? And so obviously the topic is fitness. And so when I think about the time when I first started in fitness, when I was a cheerleader, and I think what I enjoyed the most is that it was a sense of accountability.
Mm.
It was a sense of camaraderie, right? And I know that if I didn't show up for a practice, it's like, uh-oh, what's going on? Where you at, right? If
Right.
I didn't perform my best, my coach or my teammates would check in with me, right? And so we're going to talk a little bit more about what it looks like to have accountability and how do you build, levels of support, right? So I'm going to take us through these 5 steps, but I just wanted to set the tone with having people stop and think about what is joy, right? What does happiness look like? Think about a time when you were happy. What were some of those components? Who was involved? And then we can kind of go through So now we've identified what it looks like. Can we apply some of those same aspects to fitness, right? So I also want to start and share with you. I don't know if you know what the recommended level of activity is for an adult, right? So if we are thinking about 7 days a week,
Yeah.
how long should we be active, right? And I like to say active and use physical activity because I think a lot of times when people hear exercise, if they don't have a background in exercise or if they're not a fan of it, then they're not thinking other activities can fall into this level of exercise, right? So I'm going to say physical activity a lot in fitness. And when I think about fitness, I think about walking, I think about dancing, right? So maybe you were dancing at the JT concert. I think about maybe I was dancing when I was a cheerleader.
Right.
I think about lifting weights, like riding a bike. There's so many different things that you can do for physical activity. And so when I think about the recommended number, adults each week should have around, right? And this is an estimate, around 150 minutes of around like moderate intensity activity. And so if you were to break that down, and let's say 7 days, right? So 150 minutes, let's break it down. That's around 20 minutes a
Right.
day. How many of us probably scroll on social media longer than 20 minutes a day? How many of us procrastinate by just going through our emails or sitting and watching TV, right? Like there are so many things that we might be doing in this 20 minutes that if we just replaced some of the sedentary behaviors that we have with being active, we would experience a lot of the benefits of
Yeah.
that feeling happy, of that joy, right? It may give us a lot of the motivation we need to get some things done on our to-do list that we are procrastinating on, right? So I think about how do we build the momentum, right? And if we think about how do you incorporate 20 minutes a day, that's building the momentum to be more physically active because it's the choices we make that then lead into a habit, right?
Yeah.
And it takes about 21 days, 21 to 30 days for a habit to stick.
Yeah.
And so if we just look at 20 minutes a day, right? That is how we can then receive some of those benefits that are rooted in joy, right? So I want to kind of take a step back now and I want to think about if we have some type of goal to be more physically active, let's think about 5 steps that we can take, right? We're gonna break it down. We're gonna make it as simple as we possibly can. And I'm gonna take us back to when we were probably in elementary or middle school, and we would often hear the who, the what, the how, the when, right? So we're gonna use some of those words, right? Because they're probably very familiar to us. So I want you to take a moment and we're going to start at step 1. And I want you to think about if our topic tonight is physical activity, physical fitness, what is your goal, right? Take a moment to identify the what.
Yep.
Is it that you want to be more healthy, right? Is it that there's a certain look you're going for? Is there a certain size you're going for, right? Like really take a moment to identify what the goal is because it's hard to figure out where to start if you don't even know what you want. Foundation,
Yep.
right? So I think that's step 1. Once we kind of figure out, okay, step 1, the goal is to, I'll give you an example when I started on my journey in around 2019. I knew I wanted to feel better. I felt sluggish. I felt tired and I wanted to look better. It wasn't that I was unhappy with my weight or my size. I just knew I could look even better than that. I was like, I just know I can just up it a little bit, right? So for me, my motivation was not, I am not happy. I just knew things could be a lot better.
Right.
And so I still kind of had some confidence, but I knew if I just, snatch it up a little bit, that confidence would really shoot through the air. So So whatever that might be, right? So I had to identify the goal. And for me, it was two parts. It was, I want to feel better, but I
Mm-hmm.
also want to look in the mirror and say, oh, okay, I see you, right?
Mm-hmm.
A little more than I was in the past. So that's step one, right? So
I
then
think,
I'm sorry, go for it. Yep.
yeah, no, I'm going through these steps with you. We're gonna do it together. Every step I'm gonna say what
Let's
mine
get
is.
it.
So my goal would be that I know it's important and I should do it. Like it's not like I'm not happy with the way I look. Like a part of me I like would love to one day get a six pack, but like Brittany, is that will that ever happen? I don't know. Like who knows?
It could.
It could. But I just like I know the feelings that I feel after I work out and how like accomplished and this like proud moment and I walk around with like I just worked out like them and what is it endorphins just be
Yep.
kicking in.
Mm-hmm.
That's I know what that is like, and I think you're right. It does help motivate me to do other things in my life or prioritize my day out a little bit. Like if I know I need to do this, so I think it's more of I just want it to be a constant in my daily life, like something that's just
Mm-hmm.
ingrained. Like for my
Mm-hmm.
husband, he
Mm-hmm.
every day is working out because that's ingrained in his like daily DNA pretty much. And that
Mm-hmm.
what brings him joy and he has his own goals. But I think for me it's I know it's important I should be doing it. And so my goal is to like find a way to incorporate that in my daily life.
So I'm gonna push you a little bit, right?
Oh
And so
gosh.
so I definitely hear a lot of what I should
Yeah.
and a lot of what I get from it, right?
Uh-huh.
You know the sense of satisfaction that you get from it. You know how you feel, right? But I almost want to push a little bit because I'm curious to hear what the goal is, right? Because I'm hearing what I should, right? And I can't define it for you.
Yeah.
And I think if you, and maybe you don't have to think about it right now, right? Like you don't have to, this is the season of reflection, right? And so it doesn't have to happen
Exactly.
at this moment. But let's say you do take a moment to really think about what is my goal though, right? And so
Yeah.
is it the goal to be able to chase your young kids, right?
Yeah.
Like, like really sit down and define like if what my goal is, because I think when you don't know what it is, then it leaves a lot of room
Hmm.
for not knowing where to start.
And is be healthy, like, is that a goal? Because I feel like that's also broad. Like, be healthy is, yes, everyone should be healthy, but it
Mm-hmm.
maybe it is trying to, why do you want to be healthy? Like, what's your reason why of, okay, I'll
Mm-hmm.
have to think about it. See, everyone is watching.
Because I think that's what happens is we also approach fitness on this huge macro
Yeah.
level, right? And again, if we don't know where we're going, we're just in a car, just
Hmm.
driving, right? And we don't know the directions. We don't have our GPS on. We don't know. We're going to just make a whole bunch of turns, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how many times have we done that, especially before GPS, where we just like, all right, we just give up, right? We just give up. And if we're trying to make this sustainable, you want to be able to clearly identify what you want. And I think that's step one, because if we don't
Yeah.
know what we want,
We don't know where you're going
it makes
or
it
how to
hard to
get
know where you're
there.
going or how to get there, right? So
All right.
identify what that goal is,
Here we
right? And
go.
then
Step two.
you don't have to know now, but step two, now that we have identified the goal, and let's just say it's healthy, right?
Hmm.
We'll go with that. The next thing I want you to do is visualize that goal,
Hmm.
right? And so what I mean by visualizing, we're now entering the where. So I would love to know, what would it look like to be healthy? What does that mean? And define
Hmm.
it, right? So does that mean being healthy is running around chasing your kids? Does that mean when you go to the doctor, there's these check
Right.
marks that you're hitting? Is it how you feel when you walk up the steps and you're not out of breath, right? Like you have to define
Hmm.
and visualize, if you reach that goal, what's the outcome? What is that?
Hmm.
Identify what the outcome is. visualize yourself being there. I think that's step 2, right? Because if we dream it, we can be it, we can do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So to me, that's step 2.
All right, I got it. Here we go.
All right. So we're gonna jump to step 3 now.
Here we go.
All right. So now we've identified the what, we've identified the where.
Mm-hmm.
It's how once we get
Right.
there, right? And then now step 3 is the how. How are we going to do it? And this is where I think people really get caught up on a little bit, right? And the how is I want you to list resources. What do you have right now in this moment, right? Or at your fingertips,
Mm-hmm.
at your disposal
Yep.
to help you get started? So let's say if the goal is to be healthy, is it that you have a scale? Is it that you have walking shoes so that you can walk? Is it that you have some type of fitness tracker, right? Is it that you have an app on your phone that tracks your steps, right? Like really identify, just list, what do I have? What do I have around me? Do I have resistant
Right.
bands? If I want to work out, do I have a gym membership? Oh, okay, I don't want to pay for a membership. No big deal. Do I have a park near me? Right.
Right.
It's starting to get warmer if you're over here on the East Coast, right? So I think really identifying what resources are at your fingertips, at your disposal, before looking at, let me go out and get other things. There might be things already in our presence that can help.
And my mind went automatically to like the appliance, not gonna say appliance, like the equipment, right? But when you like walking shoes, I'm like, yes, that is something. Like my brain automatically just went to the gym or the treadmill
Bingo.
or the bike. Like, no, do you have something to track something or your shoe? Like those are things that are going to, if you don't have them, you might not be successful in that plan. So I think taking it down to the very, trivial things or things that you wouldn't even think of, but it's necessary for your success in that area is important. So I like it. I like it. Okay. I got enough equipment at my house right now that there is no excuse that I
Yeah, just the steps. And I think, before we jump into the others, because I know we're obviously kind of just
yep,
chatting it on
you're
up.
good. You're good.
Um, what I'll also add is let's again go back to decisions, right?
Mhm.
We make over 1,000 decisions every day. What we're gonna eat, what we're gonna wear, how we're gonna spend our time, right? Like we make all these decisions. And it's really about if you continue to make these little decisions
Mhm.
every day, that is helping you build that habit, right?
Yeah.
So when you go to the grocery store, is
Mhm.
it that
Okay.
we're going to start parking a little further,
Mm.
right? Because that helps us get some extra steps in. Will we think about taking steps instead of the elevator if that's an
Mhm.
option, right? Like think about what are just ways that we can build up this daily muscle
Mhm.
of making good decisions that again help to get us to our
Mhm.
goals.
Mhm.
It's building the momentum instead
Right.
of trying to start all at once. Let me go get a gym membership and go, do this hardcore workout. And then next week, you're not back at the gym, right?
Yeah.
So it's the little decisions, the little resources we have that really helps us add to
Yeah.
those steps. So that's step 3. So we're almost there.
You're there.
So step 4, I think I think all these steps are very crucial, right? But I think this is a step that I often see my clients and people that I train or that I work with and that I coach who are sometimes missing. And that's the who. It's the
Mhm.
accountability, right? I talked about when I was a cheerleader, the fact that I had a coach, a team, right? I had people holding me accountable. And so I would love for you to list anywhere up to 3 people who could really help hold you accountable toward that goal, right? Who can help with some of the resources, right? Or who can just be there for you, right? Who can you say, this is my goal, and not just tell people that this is your goal. If you have an idea of how they can help you, tell them. So,
Mhm.
so if you told me, Brittany, Deanna, I need you to check in with me every once in a while just to see how my goal is going, right? I'll put it on my calendar. I'll check in with you, say,
Right.
how's it going? Right? Tell people what you need from them because sometimes people want to be helpful, but they don't know how. And
Mhm.
you may have an idea of what you need from the people who could hold you accountable.
Yep.
So that's step 4.
All right.
So we're going to take it home, right? So drum roll, right? So we identified the goal, we visualize it, we know the resources, we have people to hold us accountable. But how do we make it stick, right?
Mm.
Like, how do we make this sustainable?
Right.
For one, I'm going to really encourage people to celebrate the small wins, right? So celebrate whatever it is that you did today or whatever it is that you do the next day that was a step toward your goal. Celebrate that, right? And you have to define how you want to celebrate that. Totally your call, but celebrate that and really sit down and reassess and assess
Mm-hmm.
what worked, what didn't, where do you want to go next? Is it that you have to change the goal, right? So you thought your goal was to, let's say, be healthy, but now you're like, I just really want this 6-pack. So let me reassess, right, what that goal is. And let me also give myself time and grace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We didn't get to a particular place overnight. We're not going to get to the place we want to be overnight either.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that reflection piece is also key in step 5. Celebrate your wins, but really reflect on what's going well, what's not. How do you want to move forward? And sometimes that's going back to one of those
Mm-hmm.
steps.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 steps.
Ain't bad.
That is what I would say I have found to
Yeah.
be extremely helpful, not just in my journey, but in the journey of the individuals that I
Mm-hmm.
coach and that I train.
And it's clear. It's not, hard, complex. I think the way that you've listed it out, it's easy for us to kind of, or whoever's these steps are easy to identify. Well, clear, maybe not as easy because already you were like, Brittany, your goal is wrong. Like you need to identify more. Um, but as we talk through these pieces and these examples that you're giving, I mean, it seems like it shouldn't be that hard. And it's important. It's important for, these steps can be applied to not only just physical fitness, but in so many other areas of our lives that we are kind of going through and living. But it's amazing to see how we can use this example specifically for these steps specifically for physical fitness. And y'all, before the year was out, my goal was to run a 5K and at Thanksgiving. And so I did a 100-day fast, and every day I worked out at least 20 minutes. And I did this. uh, Peloton has like a kind of like a Couch to 5K, but Peloton's version of it. And
Mhm.
so I did it, and I did my first 5K in October before I even got to Thanksgiving. And just my husband was my accountability partner. Like I said, he works out all the time, and he'll be like, how you doing? You working out today? What time you doing it? And just that motivation. And then we did the 5K together. So that was also really cool to celebrate that with him. And so it works. It's just sometimes I think we get caught up in life of family, job, relationships, da, 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 and taking care of our physical self. It kind of falls by the wayside in that self-care piece, but
Mhm.
knowing the importance of it and applying these steps to our lives is something that I hope all of you that are watching, even for myself, to get back to doing. And so um I always I always do a recap, but I want to see, is there anything else you want to share? You were given gems, dropping gems.
I think the only thing that I would share is, for one, when I talk about celebrating small wins, right? Let's also stop and celebrate right now. You took a
Mm-hmm.
step to watch this video, right? So celebrate that,
Yeah.
so you're already almost there, right? And just be patient with yourself. And I think you hit it on the nail. that life happens.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use the statement, the cheesy statement of if you fall, you get back up, right? Like it doesn't need to be a straight line. Sometimes our fitness journey is up and down,
Right.
but we keep going and figure out what works.
Perfect. All right, y'all. So these are my notes for the day. Um, the recommended amount of physical fitness, 150 minutes a week, which can be broken down into 20 minutes, which I know many of us do 20 minutes or more on our phones, scrolling through TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of the things. So 20 minutes isn't that much time. And the goal is to build the momentum up to get to us to where we want to be with our physical fitness. And we could do that through 5 easy steps. I feel like I'm selling something. You can get your physical fitness in 5 easy steps if you pay $3.99.
For free, right?
$3.99, exactly. So identifying what your goal is and make it clear. Visualize what that goal looks like and how you can get there. How are you going to do it? List the resources that you have in your arm's reach, but also resources outside of just like your immediate area. Find an accountability partner, at least 3, to hold you accountable to your goals. And don't be afraid to ask them for what you need. And then celebrate the small wins and take time to reflect and like redirect and pivot if you need to when you're thinking about your goals. And so I hope that these steps you can use during the season of Lent. Again, it's about reflection and seeing really where you want to be moving forward after Lent and during Lent. And so hopefully these steps are there for you. I want to thank Deanna for taking the time to pour in her wisdom. It's not someone random that I'm like, talk about this, like living it day in, day out, using her own testimony for her journey to bless other people. And I really hope this has blessed y'all who are looking at this. So thank you so much, Deanna. And want to say next week is the second part of fitness, which is mental health. One of my oldest friends, the next 2 weeks are going to be 2 of my oldest friends, like ever, will be coming to talk about mental health. And then the week after is around finding joy in our friendships. And if you want to follow along on the guide, if you follow me on Be Find Joy on Instagram in the link tree, it's on there, and it'll also be in the description box of this live. And then last but not least, I want to just close this out in prayer. And then I wish all of you a great rest of your night or day whenever you're watching this, and we'll see you next week. Before I start the prayer, I just want to say this verse. 1 Corinthians 6:19-20 says, do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies. And so a reason why I incorporated this physical fitness part in it is because, our bodies are temples for the Holy Spirit. And as we are taking this time through Lent and even beyond, like taking care of our bodies is important. And it is in scripture to take care of our bodies and to be mindful of those things. And so, dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing us to come together and just spend time with you, using Viana to really provide guidance and wisdom and knowledge, using her own testimony as a blessing to share with anyone that is listening to this, as well as myself. Dear God, you say that our bodies are temples. And so I pray that this time in this season, we are reflecting on how we can use, the goals that you are placing in our heart for our physical fitness and self-care in regards to fitness to better ourselves, but also bless others in the midst. So we thank you and we praise your name. In Jesus' name, what we pray. Amen. Have a good
Amen.
night, everyone. Thank you. Thank you,
Goodbye.
Diana. You're the best. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anytime. Happy to.
Have a good night, everyone, or a good day whenever you're watching it. Bye-bye. And this.